All right. Hello, I think. Yeah, it looks like we are going live. I'm going to just check over here on my phone and make sure that I'm seeing what I'm supposed to be seeing. Today is very exciting. New hardware and new software today. So hopefully everything is working just the way it's supposed to be. But I'm going to try to make sure that this video is coming up. And also, please feel free to give me a chat and let me know if you're seeing this as well. I believe I should see all of the comments coming up here, whether you're watching it on Facebook or on YouTube. So please give me a shout and say hello. And in the meantime, I will keep looking for this video and make sure that it comes up. Here we are. So we are working. Yay! That's very exciting. And I can see from here too that I also have a picture, which means my webcam is working. So I'm feeling pretty good right now. Let's see if I can also share this to my page. That would be wonderfully bonus too, huh? That might be pushing it today to get all the things working though. But like I said, give me a comment. Tina, hey, yay, I'm so excited. This is definitely working now. I'm really happy to see that. I'm trying to share this video to my page too, to try to make sure that everybody sees it, since this is coming up in a slightly different way today. For some reason, not seeing the option. Definitely could be a me problem though. I don't know why. It's just not giving me a share button. Well, hello there. Share this video with friends. That's what I want to do. That's what I'm trying to do. But it doesn't love it. Okay, well, I might share later and other people can watch it asynchronously. But Tina, I'm glad to see you. I'm glad to see your comments coming up over here. I really want to share this. No? I promise I'm really decent at technology when the camera is not on. With the camera on, but what are you going to do? Anyway, I will put this aside for now and try to give it a share in a little bit, just to make sure that it gets out there. Hello, it's really good to see everyone. Like I said, today is a new hardware and new software day. I have a webcam with a much bigger view than I thought when I was previewing it. So welcome to my giant room. And then also we're streaming a little bit differently today, so that things are going to both Facebook and YouTube. So very, very exciting. And I will try not to be too nervous about it and talk too fast, and we can focus on what we're really here to talk about. So welcome to Living from the Inside with Promise Resource Network. I'm Kira. I wonder how that shows up. Do I show up as Promise Resource Network now? That is so exciting. Well, my name is Kira, and it's good to see you guys here tonight. Oh man, I need this. I clearly need you guys here tonight. So I'm glad to be doing this. I want to start first, before we get into our topic of today. Did anyone try the challenge from last week? Just as a refresher, it was a modified version of the grounding exercise, and I wanted you to seek out senses. Let me get my notes here and make sure that I get the right ones. It was 5 holiday sounds, 4 holiday sights, 3 holiday touch sensations, 2 holiday smells, and 1 holiday taste. I felt like I could have put the taste at the top because there's so many delicious things at the holidays, but I didn't want to be a bad influence. So I put that one at the bottom. But did anybody seek out some holiday sensations and take a moment and really breathe them in, or feel them, or experience them a little deeply? Tina, you say you got a few in, and which ones did you experience? And what was your reaction to it? Did it make you happy? How did it make you feel? And what was your favorite? I'd love to know what your favorite sensation was too. while you're hopefully typing in all of the wonderful things that you did, I took your dance challenge, and I did have a dance party with my daughter. Great dance off. She beat me hands down, though, under the table. That girl has some serious moves. I wanted to take it a step further and do a toddler dance party on Zoom as well. I did not get that set up in time, but it is on the calendar for this weekend. And so I'm really excited about that, to just crank up the music and watch the kids go a little bit wild. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. All right, Tina. I hope you're typing a lot of sensations that you had for the holiday. And anyone else who, whether or not you watched last week and whether or not you did the challenge specifically, is there any sense-oriented holiday experience that you've had that has been memorable that you would like to share? It could be something that you've done recently for this year, or maybe something that sticks out from childhood, something that you really associate with the holidays. I think it's really fun to kind of ground ourselves in the memories and in the experiences, and just kind of make sure that we're living in the moment as much as we can when things are a bit crazy. Tina says smells. That was a good one. Taste, touch, want to do more of these. Sounds, almost didn't notice them. That's really interesting. I hear from a lot of people how important music and sounds are to them. I'm not one of those people, so I tend not to notice sounds as well unless they are particularly jarring, really. Like, we'll come out of a grocery store. Well, back in the day when we used to go shopping in grocery stores, but we would come out of a place and a song would be playing, and it would stick in my friend's or my husband or someone's mind, and they'd be like, "Oh, well, didn't you hear it at the store?" Nope, didn't even notice. So I think that's interesting that you didn't notice holiday sounds. Does anybody have any? The only one that I associate specifically with the holiday season is the Jingle Bell. And I'm not sure if it's because the bells themselves, the Santas, the Salvation Army Santas that ring their bells. We have jingle bells on our Christmas tree. We celebrate Christmas. Or the song Jingle Bells, just is more about winter. So I don't know if it's the sound itself or more of just its presence and how it appears in so many places that kind of signal the holiday season. I'm not really sure, but that's kind of the only sound that I really go, holidays. If anybody has any others, I'd love to hear about them. Or any other favorite sounds. I'm kind of obsessed with sensory recently. I know we've talked about a few things on here and done some sensory projects, which has been really fun. But I find that in this crazy time, it's really grounding for me. So I know we've been talking about senses a lot, but I love them. Roberta, hey Roberta, good to see you here. She says the smell of gingerbread, the look of ribbon candy. I like that. I like that the look is something that brings you into it. And I haven't really thought about it because I haven't had ribbon candy in a while. But yeah, that's definitely a very holiday thing to me as well. Building gingerbread houses. Yeah. Hey, Catherine, it's good to see you. I love building gingerbread houses, and kind of the messier, the better. Again, that tactile experience. We haven't built ours for this year yet. We're going to be doing that this weekend, but I'm really excited to do it. I'm pretty sure it's going to be half eaten by the time it even gets up, but it's going to be fun, and I'm excited. Tina says she built gingerbread houses via Zoom with friends. Via Zoom with a friend this week. That's really cool. It's so great to be able to connect with someone over an activity. It's something that I think we normally do a lot, right? We go do things with people, and that has been lacking. No matter kind of where you are on the kind of coronavirus, wherever you are in the coronavirus journey, things have definitely changed to some degree, and we're spending a lot more time apart and a lot more time at home. And so it's great to be able to use the technology that we have to still be able to share an experience. I like that a lot. Roberta says old school childhood. Are you referring to the ribbon candy itself, or just that's kind of your feeling on Christmas or on the holiday season? Sorry, I know people celebrate a lot of holidays. I tend to be Christmas centric myself because that's what I've grown up celebrating, but I love to hear what people do for all of the holidays this time of year as well. And, you know, I have a friend who doesn't celebrate Christmas, but she refers to this time of year as sparkle season, which I really like. It's all about lights and happiness and things that just make you smile and things like that. So I'd love to hear everyone's perspectives on kind of what they do this time of year. The dance party for the toddlers, Catherine. Yeah, we've done it. We did it a couple times at the beginning when preschool was first canceled, and my daughter's birthday, her party was scheduled for the first weekend of the shutdown here in North Carolina, and so we did a lot of that stuff. And then I don't know, things just got busy, and I kind of forgot about them. But we were talking about them last week. And I appreciate Tina challenging me to get back into doing these dances with my daughter because they're super fun. And I don't know, they're kind of crazy and they're really loud. We have to play the music really loud at our house for it to go through Zoom, which is fine. But it's just happiness and squeals and laughter. And my daughter's 3. And so occasionally they like stick their face up to the screen, like who's in there, who's dancing. And it's a really good time. So I highly recommend them. And I was going to say they're probably good for every age. I'm not sure that I would do, I mean, I might. If my friends were into it, I might do a dance party on Zoom. But I'm sure it works for a lot of different age groups. Just a great way to get some of that zany energy out. Tina says, I think this is regarding the gingerbread over Zoom, that sharing that experience over Zoom made you miss your friend more. Yeah, sometimes it's a bit of a harsh reminder on exactly what we're missing, because when we're sitting there in the moment on Zoom or doing whatever else, talking to somebody on the phone or texting or something, and we're thinking, man, like, I should be seeing this person. We should be able to elbow each other at the table. Like, we should be face to face. And it's hard not to dwell on what is missing. It's really hard. Like we talked about last week, I mean, this is a major trauma that we're trying to live through and function through at the same time. That is not easy. Usually it takes time to process this kind of stuff and to get to a place that we can talk about it and all of that. And to be kind of going through it at the same time is weird. But what I do want to remind you is you got to see your friends. And not that long ago, it would have been a lot more difficult to have these connections. So even though these connections may not be what we wish they were, at least we have something that's kind of keeping us tethered to our support system and to our world outside of our homes. I know I spend a lot of time telling you guys how awesome it can be in your house, but sure, we all want to go back to where we can spend more time in our communities. And we'll get there. We will get there. This is temporary, and these things keep us tethered, and that's really important, is to be tethered. I'm going to read back over here. Tina said it was messy too. Catherine says, I'm looking to try to set a great tradition for my family to do together. Once my grandmother passed, it's like the holidays have not been the same. I'm really sorry for your loss. Losing someone who is integral to the celebration of a holiday or kind of any part of family tradition is really, really hard. I'm really sorry for your loss. I do want to say this is something that Aaron and I talked about in Recovery 101 a couple weeks ago. There are so many things that we remember about our childhood and the magic of holidays, magic of childhood. And a lot of that focuses around the things that were created by people who were doing the work, right? Like our parents and our grandparents who were putting in all of this effort to make the holiday magical for us. And as we lose those people, it can feel like a lot of the magic from the holidays are lost. But really, the magic is transferring. It then becomes our responsibility to be the creators of magic for the next generation. And I like that thought a lot because when I am not feeling like the holidays are magical, which is not just this year. I mean, there have been other years that have been very hard. I often have seasonal depression, and there have been other years that have been super tough. But the idea of focusing on passing that magic forward has really helped. So I love the idea of setting great traditions for your family, and being able to carry those forward and passing that magic on. I think that's really great. Are you looking for any type in particular? I can share some that we're starting to develop. My daughter's 3, so um, you know, it's a little bit easier to do certain traditions with her because everything is still magical at 3. So I'm sure they'll adapt as she grows up, and we'll have to get more creative. But most of the things that we do right now that she loves are focused around intentional time. So sitting down to make a gingerbread house with a clear table. We're going to talk about clutter a little bit today, but like a clear table with nothing but the gingerbread house on it, everyone together, music playing in the background, every like lights that we have up going, a fire on in the fireplace. Like it's about creating kind of that atmosphere that this is a very special, very intentional moment, and that helps us a lot. And I think the tradition itself is less important. We do gingerbread houses every year. Well, she's 3, so we've done gingerbread houses for 3 years, and hopefully that'll be something that continues. We've also made ornaments. We have, in addition to the ornaments we make, like the acrylic, we use acrylic balls that you like fill with stuff and then tie a ribbon on it, tie it on the tree. We also, every year, we buy a special ornament that symbolizes that year for us. Instead of doing like a date one or something like that, we choose a hand-blown glass ornament that we choose together that represents the year. This year, ours was black with swirls in it, which felt very 2020 to me because it was kind of a dark year, but it wasn't completely black. There were definitely swirls of sparkle in this year. So we chose an ornament that represented it for us. So I think sometimes traditions, the traditions that we remember most are the ones that are small but really, really special. So I hope that you can find some things that not only feel special to you, but also bring that to your children. I assume when you, I just read something that says, yes, you want that for your children now. I was assuming when you said family, you meant your children, but I probably should have clarified. So I'm just catching up on some comments here. Tina says she likes the thought that we are creators of magic. We are. We are. You know what? There is a new feature to this new software that I'm going to try out here. Tina says, check that out. It's on the screen. I'm sorry. This is just very exciting to me. We buy or make a new ornament every year. This year, I am turning my coin from work into an ornament. That sounds cool. What's a coin? Or your coin? What's a coin from work? I'm trying to think. Anyway, but that's pretty cool that you can see it right on the screen, right? I love this. Loving it. Okay. She also says, we have a collection of Santas my gram bought our family over the years, and we put them out every year. Now that my sister and I are both grown, the Santas were split between us so we can all continue the tradition. Oh, cool. That's really, really cool. I like that you have something that carries the tradition along, but also divides it up and makes it a part of all of you. Okay, I'm sorry. I can't seem to take this camera off now. Oh, dear. Well, it was really exciting that it went on. Well, okay, so that's cool. Send in some more messages and we'll just flip this out since I'm not quite sure how to take this off now. It's cool. A COVID coin was the coin that Tina was talking about making into the new ornament. She works at the command center. Wow, that's a really powerful ornament. Okay, sorry, this is driving me crazy. I'm going to try to. Oh my goodness. I don't know how to turn it off. That's okay. We'll just scroll through some comments. It'll be great. I know there's a way to turn it off. I'm going to put this one on because this right here, not being able to work technology, is a very 2020 thing for me. But the COVID coin sums up your year, huh? Yeah, it's been quite a crazy year. It's interesting that we're coming to the end of it. Excuse me. I know that there's been a lot of like 2020 stuff and looking forward to 2020 being over. And it's really interesting to be coming to the end of it and looking forward to next year and wondering what 2021 is going to be like. However it goes, PRN is going to be here for you. And we'll keep talking about whatever comes up and whatever we're working through. This session has been focused on being comfortable at home. And, you know, however long that continues, these videos are here to hopefully help you be more comfortable at home. And PRN has lots of other resources as well. There are great things on the website or on the Facebook page to check out. Lots of videos. Binge them when you need them. They're there for you. So hopefully 2021 is going to be sunshine and rainbows. But as we get to that point, then, you know, we're here for you. So know that as well. I'm really wishing I could turn this off. Oh, boy. But hey, learning experience. It's fine. We got it. Anyway, I did want to spend some time today talking about clutter. As far as, you know, making your home a comfortable place. We have been spending a lot of time in our homes this year. My family has been pretty much at home the whole time. My daughter is not in preschool. My husband is working from home. Like we're pretty much here all the time, which means that we are living in this space and making messes in this space all the time. And no one is coming over to force us to like clean up real quick before company comes. So the time is a little bit different, and we've gotten a wee bit messier. There's just clutter around. And it used to be that we would clean the house or whatever. Like if we would clean on Sunday night, then we'd all be gone most of the day on Monday. So we'd come home on Monday and the house would still be mostly clean, right? And so we would have that experience of coming home to a fairly clean environment. We don't have that right now. One, we never leave, so it doesn't stay clean for more than, 0 seconds, because usually someone is behind me dumping out buckets that are being cleaned up. But also there's never that experience of like it going away and coming home to a clean space. So I don't know about you guys. Maybe you guys have beautifully organized houses right now. And if so, please send me all your tips and tricks. But my house isn't. It's a bit cluttered. I'll be honest. I didn't realize how wide the view on this camera was because in the like practice software or whatever, I was able to zoom in and I couldn't figure out how to do that on here. And so that desk was covered. Oh, no, it's on that side. That desk was covered in mess. And so I just like knocked it all off and it's under the desk right now. So that'll be something that I clean up later. But that's just the state of it being lived in all the time. That's the desk that my daughter sits in when we work together up here, and she brings her arts and crafts and toys and whatever she wants to do and does them on that desk. But usually we leave right from that desk to lunch or next activity or this or that around the house. And we don't necessarily stop and clean up everything on our way around. Perhaps we should, but that doesn't always feel feasible to me. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is whatever you got going on, don't worry about it. You're in good company. But that kind of brings me into my next point too. What does all this clutter do for our mental health? It's stressful. Right? I had to spend a couple minutes like panicking, like, oh, there's so much mess and people can see it and all that stuff, and knocking things to the floor. And now I know sitting here that there's like all that mess over there that has to be dealt with at some point. So there's that as well. So it really bogs you down. It also kind of gives you a chronic to-do list, like, oh, well, I should every time you walk by, like I should really take care of that pile of mail. I should really take care of that. I really need to clean up this. Like it's kind of always like, okay, I need to get to it. And also it can be something that helps you be down on yourself. It sounds kind of weird, but I say all the time, I'm a mess. I'm a hot mess. I'm just a mess. It's not really the nicest thing that I could say about myself. It feels true. And sometimes it certainly is true, but I don't know. It's also very harsh, and seeing the clutter around me just reinforces that to myself. I never sit here and go, I am like the most organized at whatever this is, or I am the best email replier ever, or, I don't tend to sit around and just give myself some of that feedback, but I'm very, very quick to give myself a hard time for having a mess or being a mess. And in pre-corona times, that is also can become a barrier to having people over and sharing your life with them, because you might not want to invite people in because the house is a mess. As the mother of a small child, I hear that all the time. Oh, I just, I can't host because my house is a mess. And that's, I get it. I definitely get it. But also that's sad, right? We don't want this to be something that comes in between us and relationships. And right now, people might not be coming over to your house, but you might feel that you can't be on Zoom or FaceTime, or you can't, do any kind of thing like this because somebody might see your mess, or they might see that you haven't showered yet, or your hair is a mess, or whatever, that this kind of clutter can get in between you and a connection. And we definitely don't want that. We want all the connections we can get at all times, but especially right now when they're a little bit hard to come by. So we're going to talk a little bit about the psychology of clutter, but also a little bit about some things that we can do to maybe help clean it up a little bit, and maybe help move towards a place where we're more at peace with the space inside of our home. It's time and energy to clean up clutter. And that is something that we don't have a ton of right now. I know a lot of us don't. And this is, life is hard anyway. And it's always hard to keep up on top of everything that's going on and all of the messes and all of that. But with the added intensity of the pandemic, everything else that's going on in our country right now, and also being home more, especially for people who are used to having at least some of the members of their household out of it at given times, and finding everybody in. And that means all activities are into. We don't go to art class anymore. Art class is at home. We don't go to any kind of gym class. Like, we get all the cushions out and we jump around the house. So we create a lot more mess than we used to as well, because all activities are now focused at home. So we talked about some of the things that clutter can do to your mind and to yourself. And this, what I've been talking about so far, is physical clutter. There's also mental and emotional clutter that doesn't have anything to do with physical items that you're going to find around your home. This would be things like guilt, worry. Some of these things you can't just turn off, obviously, but maybe we can let go of some of it and declutter our mind a little bit as well. Maybe it is not critical today to know what the numbers are. Sure, it's important to know what trends are, and it's very important to stay on top of what's going on, but maybe for today or tomorrow or whenever you need to, you can take a break from some of those numbers and let some of that clutter fall out of your mind. Same thing with some of the guilt that we're holding on to, because maybe life right now doesn't look like it should for our children or for ourselves. There's a lot of guilt around the holidays in general. But additionally, when maybe you can't be or do for your family at home or your extended family what maybe you expect or think that you should be able to do. These, are things that can clutter your minds. And there's nothing we can do about a lot of these things. There's nothing we can do about, being in the situation that we're in right now. Individually, we can absolutely do the things that we can to stay as safe as possible and prevent the spread of this virus. But beyond that, clicking into the numbers every day might add worry and stress to your brain that you don't really need and that you can't do anything about. Maybe you can set a day or a time of day, depending on, how much you're tuning in now. I don't recommend trying to turn it all off. You gotta be gentle with yourself and ease out. So if you're checking 5 times a day, maybe you check once when you wake up in the morning. Or if you're checking, every single day, maybe you check on Tuesdays and Fridays or something like that, just to get rid of some of that extra stress that's in your life. And the same thing with the guilt and the worry and all of that. It's hard not to worry what's going to happen to all of us when this is all over and we all try to go back to normal, whatever that looks like or will look like. But the thing is that we're all in this together. And I think that's especially important for parents of kids. I've heard many times people worry about how their kid is going to adapt when they finally do go back to school or back to activities or whatever. And I'm sitting here thinking it doesn't matter. They're all going to be doing it. I know there are different levels that of outside interaction that people have had, but the point is that there is a huge group of children who are going through the same level of exposure that your child is. Mine is not going to preschool. She does see one friend some of the time, but she's going to be weird when she goes back to preschool, hopefully next year, but she's going to be weird. But you know what? So is half her class. They're all going to be doing that, and we're all going to be adjusting together. And so I think it's important for people to just recognize that we're all in this together. And maybe we can let go of some of that clutter of worry in our head over things that are so far outside of our control that, it's not helping us, and it's not building us up, and it's not giving us solutions to be hanging on to it. I know it's not easy. But we have to work as much as we can to build ourselves up and to reassure ourselves and to remember the things that we know are true when worry tries to tell us all kinds of stories about how everything's going to be a disaster. It's not. I mean, it might be a challenge. This has all been a challenge, but it's not going to be a disaster, and we're all going to get through it. We're all in this together. So that's some of the mental cleansing that we can do. But physical cleansing also helps, and it helps our mental health to physically cleanse as well. It helps some of that stress. Tina says that she no longer watches the news. I don't watch the news either. I have newsletters that I get. I have a couple of them a day. And then I do tune in here and there to online news. But I need it to be in written form, because then I can pull myself away when it gets to be too much. Watching the news and being bombarded with too much information, it's too stressful. I have to admit, though, this started before coronavirus. So, but it's important to know those limits and to be able to take a step back. We don't have to bombard ourselves with every detail of what's happening every minute of every day to be informed. And I think that's important to know. Kim, it's good to see you here. Thanks for joining us. I don't know. I just pretend that we just had a technology glitch there for a second and it wasn't a brain glitch. Okay, we've had a few technology glitches here, so it just goes along with the theme. But anyway, going to the things that we can do or to declutter. First, I want to talk about what decluttering can do for you to give you some motivation to tackle it. Because like I said, I know it's work and it's energy and it's time. And those are things that we don't really have right now. But we also don't have the energy to devote to the clutter eating into our brains and our mental health, right? And so it's upfront work. And I'm not saying that your house needs to be spotless. And I'm just trying to encourage you to get over that hump and do the things that you need to do in order to help yourself feel better and stronger and more able to take on your day. And that's one of the things that you get from decluttering is a sense of accomplishment and kind of a clear space to be able to move forward with your next task. I was reading, I read up on some articles on decluttering because I wanted to give you guys real information. And one of the things that I found talked about a dopamine feedback loop. I'm sure everybody knows what dopamine is, but it's a feel-good chemical that's released in your brain. And this one article that I was reading about, it was really interesting because it was talking about how dopamine isn't just about feeling good. Like you get it when you get a sense of accomplishment, but it's also released in the brain when you think you're about to complete a task. And it's a motivating chemical as well. So if you divide up your projects into smaller pieces, so instead of saying like, I need to reorganize my house, you just say, I need to clean off my kitchen counters, which is definitely a thing I need to do. But it creates small, more achievable tasks, and then you feel good about it and get that kind of dopamine rush and that good sensation as you complete a smaller task. And then you can move on to the next task and the next task. And it kind of keeps you feeling good and positive and motivated about getting further and further. It's one of the reasons why when you do a big clean out or something like that, that you just feel so like at the end, you feel so good. Part of that is because of the dopamine. Part of that to me is the psychology of it too. Cleaning out a space takes it off your to-do list. It takes it off your brain so that you're not seeing it all the time and being like, oh, I have to deal with that. You really get to let it go at that point. And that's a really amazing feeling as well. And then it creates space for you to do something else. My kitchen counters, I don't have a ton of kitchen counter space. And so it's very, very easy for there to become enough stuff on it that it makes it difficult to cook. Like you're shoving things to the side to get the cutting board out, and then shoving things over here to get the cookie sheet out or whatever it is. And it's really easy to get bogged in and frustrated and not have that space. So when it's all cleaned off, which does not happen very often, but when it's all cleaned off, then it creates that space to do, which is really fun, right? You can clean out a corner and put a chair there. You can clean out your garage and park your car in it. That I was really surprised when I moved down here and bought a house with a garage to find that a lot of people don't park their cars in them. They put their stuff in them. That kind of blows my mind. But anyway, you could park your car in it. Or I also know people who have a workout studio there, or who put their desk out there and start a business in the garage, or do woodworking. Clutter takes up space in our lives and keeps us back from doing things that could be a lot of fun. So there's space for new goals in there. And letting go of things can also help us process feelings and experiences. If you're holding on to something that is emotionally charged, I know sometimes it can be really tough to let it go. And letting it go might put us in touch with emotions that we don't want to touch, right? But they're always there in the back of our minds, knowing that clutter is around, knowing that it's something that we have to deal with at some point. So it's never completely gone until you release it. And when you release it, you can release some of the emotions and feelings and process some of those feelings that went along with whatever event it is. Something that comes immediately to mind is possessions of someone who has passed away. Sometimes it can be really hard to let some of those things go. I remember cleaning out after my mother-in-law passed, and the everyday things were honestly the hardest things to clean out for me. Like her makeup, like her lipstick that, I don't know, she had just used fairly recently, and there it was sitting on the counter, not being needed anymore. And those daily things, there's no reason to hold on to them other than it's just really, really hard to let go. It's really hard to let go. It's been a while, a year and a half now, and it's still, I don't know, it's still hard to process all of that. But I don't look at it every day, and I don't have to come head to head with those emotions every day. And that's definitely helpful. And so some of those things, they may be the hardest things to get rid of, but they might be the best things for your mental health and for your well-being to do so. So definitely consider that if you're finding yourself surrounded. I want to take a minute to say hi to Bruce. Thanks for coming and joining us tonight. You don't have to apologize for being late. You can come whenever you want. We're here. This is here, and I'm glad you joined us. I was just looking back at the comments here too, and Tina's saying that she gets her comments from the hospital. But she doesn't watch the news. It's normally too much for me. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Oops. Okay, I thought I almost shared that one too. I didn't mean to change any. No, not coming off. Okay. So another thing that I thought was really interesting as I was reading up on clutter and the psychology of it and all of that is the guilt over the gap between your real self and your aspirational self. So how much of the clutter that surrounds you right now has to do with things that you hope to do? That's an interesting question, right? I was a little embarrassed when I sat and thought about that question a lot. One of the things that I collect and don't really do anything with has been art supplies. Though thanks to Tina's prodding, I am doing much better with using some of those supplies. But it takes up a lot of space. My aspirational self is all over that. My real life self hasn't gotten into it as much. I also am a person who will collect things, containers, buttons, anything that looks like maybe it could be a fun craft later. I have these weird, I don't even know what they came from. They must have been packaging for like an electronics or something, because they're kind of like the styrofoam things that would come on the end in a package, but they're cardboard. And I'm like, oh, we could turn those into a cool castle. Yeah, we haven't. I don't know. My aspirational self thinks that would be a really fun project. But my real life self hasn't gotten around to it. And I'm not saying I never will, but I'm saying all of these things that are around me that represent my aspirations take up a lot of space. And they take up a lot of mental space because every time I see those, they're up on top of my art cabinet. Every time I walk by and see those, I'm like, oh, I really need to do that. I don't, right? There's nothing that says I really need to make this castle craft. But I feel that way because I have it and I see it. So it's a lot of emotional pressure on myself just because I saw something and had a moment of inspiration. I'm I'm glad to see that other people do this too. Kim says she collects silly things. What do you do with your silly things? Do you use them or do you also aspire to use them like I do? And Tina says, see, normal people that are not crafters or artists call us hoarders. Yeah. And I see too, Tina, there are a lot of things that you want to do. There are so many things. I know I've mentioned this before on this during Living from the Inside, but that song from The Lion King really always hits me from the day you're born. There's so much to see and so much to do, more than you could ever do. And that's how I feel all the time. I'm like, oh, but this would be so fun. Oh, but this would be so fun. But you know, when it comes down to it, there are only so many hours in a day. But it's still fun to aspire to some of it. But when that aspiration becomes too big and starts to bog you down, it's time to clean it out. It's time to clean out your space and make your space somewhere where you can be comfortable and you can enjoy what you're doing in this moment without thinking about all the things that you're not doing in this moment. I think that's very important. Because if all of that aspiration starts to crowd in on what you're trying to do right now, then it kind of takes away from your joy, and we don't want that to happen. Kim says her things sit in closets and bedrooms, just plain silly. I mean, I get it. I get it. It's fun. And yeah. See, like I feel myself here, like starting to try to encourage you guys to keep all of this stuff around when everything I've read says we got to clean some of it out. But I think it's balance. We are spending so much time in our homes right now that I think a lot of us our balance is shifting towards the clutter. It's shifting towards a more chaotic space. And we just need to bring that balance back to the middle. So it's not about getting rid of everything. If I cleaned out and got rid of everything, I would immediately start refilling that space because I do like having some things around me that I can aspire to. But it's about finding a balance and finding a place where we can sit and be happy and enjoy our time as we have it. Another thing that has helped me with the clutter around me, we have a lot of kid clutter. We have toys out all the time. Obviously, we're at home all the time. There's always something out to be played with. And in the beginning, my daughter was younger when this started. She just turned 3 right at the beginning. She's moving towards 4 now. So her play is a little bit different and her ability to clean up after herself has improved greatly. But in the beginning, I was a bit more organized about her toys, but part of that was because the toys were different. We didn't necessarily have them out all the time because we spent a lot of time not at home. And I don't know, I just had a bit more energy. So like this kit of toys went together and everything was ordered. And I had this thing in my head that I would never be that parent that was like, I don't even know where the red piece is from this game, like whatever. It's like, no, everything can go in its proper spaces. And that was a lot of stress. And especially as we started being home all the time, that was a lot of stress. And so reducing the expectations I have for myself. One, it helps my mental clutter, reducing my expectations because I am not always getting on me for not keeping a certain standard of organization. And 2, it helps the physical clutter. We've got big bins and we just toss. And then the bins go under a bed or in a closet, in a stack. I don't know where the red piece is for that game now. I don't know. But you know what? We'll fashion a paper clip and we don't even need it. So reducing expectations, huge, both on yourself and in practical application as well. My daughter can do a lot more now because I take the lid off a bin and I'm like, put your toys in it. And so dumping all of that stuff in, she can be a lot more helpful. Do I know if we have all of the pieces for the Duplo set she was playing with today? Not a clue. And even just admitting that out loud, I'm like, oh man, where could those Duplo pieces be? But I have to let that go because it doesn't matter. What matters is that we are living in a way that we can continue, we can maintain, we can feel comfortable and still have access to our toys and our fun and all of that as well. So that's very important. That's another like gap between real me and aspirational me, right? Aspirational me wants everything organized to a T in my life, in my business, in everything. I just want it all. I want to open my linen closet and see perfectly folded towels, everything like color coded. That will never happen. And the reason it won't happen is because the amount of time and energy that goes into that is something that I would prefer to channel elsewhere. And some people have beautiful linen closets like that, and I aspire to it. But that is where their energy and time goes. Whereas maybe I'm putting it somewhere else and they're not. There's a finite amount of time and energy, so it's about prioritizing. And even though I aspire to those levels, that's not where I prioritize my energy. I wish I had enough to do everything. This is just not reality. I'm going to look at these comments again over here. It's a little bit hard because I feel like I'm shifting a bit now. I mean, I guess it's better than looking down and up, but now I'm like, hey, you want to see my hair? It's on this side. Anyway, I'm getting used to some new things tonight. Tina says, balance seems to be a constant struggle, like walking a tightrope across lava. I'm going to put that one up. Since I can't take them down, I'll just keep putting new ones up. I actually clean just before I do an art project. It helps me think through the project. I didn't get that. When I was talking about gingerbread houses earlier, I was talking about being intentional and doing it in a clear space. And I kind of didn't think about that in terms of this same, this same clutter topic, because I was thinking more about the holiday. But it's really true. It's hard to sometimes be intentional about one thing when you're surrounded by so many others, so many other options for your attention and things like that. It's a little bit hard to kind of have your head where it needs to be. Yeah, but this thing, balance, I feel like balance comes up like every week, no matter what our topic is. It's all about balance, right? It's so frustrating because it's hard. Balance is hard. And the equation keeps changing. And so we have to keep adjusting our balance. Yeah, and that's tough. But I think balance is less about finding the perfect middle than always correcting. And I won't use the sinking ship metaphor this time because I totally messed that up last time. But I do think that the point of trying to achieve balance is just always trying to bring yourself to the middle. It is not an end goal. There isn't a place that we're going to get to where we're like, here is balance. But if there is, and you do, let me know, and let me know how you got there. But for most of us, it's a constant journey back towards the center. And it's that movement towards the center that keeps us going and keeps us in balance overall. Because if we stop that movement, then we're going to end up tilting too far to one side. So I think it's important to not think organization is an end goal. Decluttering is an end goal. Balance is an end goal. They're not. They're processes, and they're constant recorrections, which sounds exhausting. But it means that it's something that it's constantly achievable, right? So we're always sliding a little bit out of balance. We're always getting a little bit messy, but it's okay, because at every moment, at every point where we start getting overwhelmed, we can start shifting back towards the center. And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that at all, but it's possible. And you can find a place of comfort in the middle of all this chaos by continually just moving towards your center. Tina says, that's a good description. I always see balance as the end goal. Yeah, it kind of feels like something that we should achieve once and for all. That's how I feel about organization. I always think that once I organize something, it's done forever. But that's not really the case. That's not really life, because things keep shifting. And we want things to keep shifting because that means life stays interesting. We want life to be interesting. So I think we just keep trying. We just keep struggling towards that center. And then we're all here to help each other too. There is nothing wrong with getting a little, pull the middle. And that's a way that we can all help each other out. So we're coming to the end of the time here. I hope that conversation about decluttering helped a little bit. It wasn't as full of like, here's how to do it, as maybe you would have liked to hear. But to me, that doesn't work, because I always come up with reasons why whatever method doesn't work for me. And I need to think more about what the clutter is doing to me, and what decluttering could do to help me, to get me motivated, rather than feeling like I get a bunch of rules and I'm like, well, I don't like those rules, so I'm not going to do it. So hopefully understanding a little bit of what it does and why it helps and why it hurts, I guess, and why cleansing ourselves can help a little bit. Will help you guys a little bit in making sure that your home, the space that we're spending so much time in right now, is comfortable. We've got to be comfortable. This situation is not comfortable. Life isn't always comfortable. But we need to do what we can to make sure we're taking care of ourselves and make sure that we're setting ourselves up in the best way to get through these trying times and every trying time. I don't know about you guys, but life wasn't without challenges for me prior to coronavirus. So a lot of these things can carry you through once this is over as well. A challenge. Oh, Tina, I do have a challenge for you. I didn't write it down. Give me a second to remember the challenge. It's in there somewhere. As I try to remember the challenge, I want to tell you guys there is going to be an additional episode, I guess, of Living from the Inside Saturday morning at 11. Also on Saturday, December 26th at 11 in the morning. Those are additional sessions, so we'll still be doing the Thursday ones. This Saturday session and Christmas Eve session will be pre-recorded. And I'm not sure about the 26th, but probably that one as well. Please do feel free to continue to comment. I will absolutely still read the comments and get back to you, but I won't be able to interact with you live and get things stuck on the screen in the same way. Shame. And I will also mess with some of this technology and learn how to flip things on and off a little bit better for next time. So just to let you know that about the schedule. And then I'm trying to think. New Year's Eve would be the next Thursday after Christmas Eve. And so I should be here sitting in front of the camera live on New Year's Eve. So I will hopefully talk to you guys in between, and I will try to remember to put challenges at the end of all of them too. And oh my goodness, this is driving me crazy. Oh yes. Okay, so the challenge is actually kind of boring this time because we sort of did it already for Thanksgiving. But we have spent a lot of time talking about the holidays in this time of coronavirus and, spending so much time at home and not being able to see our families and things like that. And for Thanksgiving, we talked about how we were going to recapture travel time and things like that. Maybe if you're a host, maybe prep time, recapturing some of that time and doing something special with it and something that is only for 2020. So my challenge for this week is really the same, except for the holidays. I want two things. I want you to think about ways that you can recapture this, whatever time might have gone to prep or travel or, something that would happen in a normal year that's not happening this year. Even if it's, normally we would go uptown to see the singing bears, and we're not doing that this year. Well, okay, what can you do with that time at home that is something super special and maybe becomes a new tradition and maybe becomes a happy memory of 2020? Either way, that's one thing. The second thing is find a way to spread out the joy of the holiday. This might be a little bit different if you celebrate something like Hanukkah, which is already 8 days. But Christmas is usually one day of opening presents and, having a Christmas meal or something like that. But since we're not necessarily gathering with extended family or friends this year, find a way to extend that out. Maybe open gifts over Zoom with different family groups at different times or with friends. Just because we can't be in person to open gifts doesn't mean we can't do it together and do it in front of each other. So those would be my two challenges. What do you think, Tina? Are they too boring? Are they acceptable challenges for this week? And then, of course, Christmas Eves will be recorded. So please feel free to comment on that video with how your challenge went from this week. I would love to hear what you're doing to make 2020 a super special year for the holidays, even though so much of it is not as ideal. What is unique to this year that you're doing? So definitely comment. Let me know how that goes. And I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday. My videos will be out Saturday, Thursday, Saturday. And then I'll see you guys the following Thursday on New Year's Eve as well. So happy holidays to everyone. I hope it's a wonderful season and you find a way to find some real joy in this holiday season. Bye.